My name is Jeff Martin. I'm the creator and executive director here at True Dungeon. We're a group of like 250 people that come together once a year to put on this big show for all the attendees at Gen Con. This year we're going to have about 8,000 tickets sold. It'll take about 3.5 days for all the people to play. We call it True Dungeon because we want it to be as immersive as possible, and it's like you're in the experience, not like a character. So every person has a skill that they have to practice at the beginning of the event. So like if you're a thief or a rogue type, you have to practice this little lock picking device, and later on in the dungeon 3 times you're going to be asked to perform that skill, and it really makes it really fun and immersive. If you're a fighter type, you practice combat, which is done with like a shuffleboard type system. So you got to have really good hand and eye coordination if you want to be a fighter type. Or if you want to be a spellcaster, you have to memorize these things. You got 12 minutes to memorize. It's either like if you're a druid, you have to memorize leaf shapes. If you're a cleric, you have to memorize the names of some holy beads for your prayer necklace. Or if you're a wizard, you got to memorize a plane of charts. So as the adventure continues, you form your class skills. The better you do it, the better your party performs. Also during the adventure, you're going to run into puzzles that you have to work together as a team. We really have team-oriented puzzles here, so if the team doesn't communicate well, they usually don't do very well. And then also there's monsters to fight. And again, that's done. We have NPCs or animatronics where they'll actually get to interact with the monster. And then during the combat, they'll use a shuffleboard to represent the fight. Most people don't survive the dungeon. Now, a lot of people make it to the final room, but again, it's a once-a-year thing. I want it to be a challenge. If you survive, I want you to feel like you really accomplished something. So if you do survive, you get a little survivor button that you can wear around, and that's your little bragging rights. But the big thing is you just get to say you survived and you beat the dungeon. We have a reputation for difficult puzzles. We try to make it a challenge. I mean, we're hoping that you get half the puzzles right, because we want to make sure that you feel like this is a once-a-year thing. You want it to be really challenging, and we put a lot of effort into that, and also that we try to make them as immersive and as fun as possible. We build really big interactive type props. Some of them are even electronic, where we'll use LCD projectors and Xbox Connects, or hidden switches that use magnets to trigger electronic effects. Once the party has split up their tokens amongst themselves, and there are weapon tokens as well that we use in the combat system. You actually put them in a slider, slide them down the shuffleboard, and the tokens determine how much damage you do. When you're in the adventure, like if you need some healing, you can drink a healing potion, or if you have a scroll that'll be really helpful, like it might be comprehend languages, it'll decipher some kind of script you found. Or it could be stone to flesh if you happen to run into a Medusa and one of your party members gets petrified. It could be that kind of thing. We have people that have tokens from 10 years ago that are still using them. If they're permanent type of magic item, like a +1 sword, they can still keep using it. We do have consumables like potions and scrolls, that kind of thing. But we have smaller events occasionally. Like we'll probably be at HoosierCon in April, I believe, where we'll have a little event where you can bring your tokens and you can do some smaller events. Gamers like to have the best gear, and it just gives you a little more pluses to your armor class or to hit, or they'll allow you to play a higher level character or that kind of thing. Gamers love the best gear, and it's crazy. I had no idea this was going to happen with the tokens, and yeah, there's resellers out in the exhibit hall doing it. It's fun to watch. And it amazes me to see when I'm walking down the hallway, way away from the vent, somebody will have their tokens spread out all over the table or all over the floor looking at them, and they'll be trading them. And it's just great to see that there's this whole other aspect of the game where people like to trade these tokens back and forth. We're currently in about the year 7 of the current story arc. It's going to really conclude next year. Every year we change the adventures. There's 2 adventures every year, and next year we'll have two more adventures, and that'll conclude the big 8-year story arc. We work on it year-round. I mean, as soon as I get back, we'll unload everything, take a few weeks off, and then we'll immediately start planning the next year. We have to get the tokens created. We do a whole new batch every year, and then we write the modules and start making the sets and props immediately. It's a year-round thing. It's so much work, and it takes 250 volunteers to put it on. There are people that have played the event, they're really passionate about it, and they want to be a part of it. We have a lot of great role players that play the event, and afterwards they're like, hey, I'd love to be a monster, I'd love to be an NPC. So it's a great resource for us. The player base loves this event and they want to support it, and we have no problems finding enough people to play the monsters. It's never been really a business, it's always just been for me like something to do in my spare time. It's grown over the years, of course, but I really just don't have the time to do it more than just once a year. It just takes so much planning and effort. We only do it at Gen Con, and it's $48 for a 2-hour adventure, and that includes a free pack of tokens. And it sounds kind of expensive, but this is a real expensive event to put on because of the location and the quality of the sets and the props. But most people, we sell it every year, and most people think it's well worth it. We've got a website, as always, truedungeon.com, and we've got a great forum there where all the players and volunteers hang out. So if you have any kind of questions, I would just go to the forum and ask away, and you'll meet some great people on the forum. I would love to make sure everybody realizes this is like a big team event. I mean, it's nice for me to be standing here taking all the praise for this, but it's really a great, huge team event. And I've got a core group of about 20 people that work on this all year long, and they do a great job, and they're much smarter than I am, and I'm glad I get to take the credit for their work. But I just wanted to say here that without their help, this event would be half of what it is now.